Good afternoon. Welcome. Welcome to all members of the KAUST community and welcome to our honoured guests. Welcome to the opening of our 7th Winter Enrichment Program. For many here it's your first. That's lovely, thank you. For many of you it's your first enrichment program, and for some of you it's your first visit to KAUST, so a particularly warm welcome to all of you. You join us in this remarkable modern Beit al-Hikmah, this new house of wisdom on the shores of the Red Sea. The enrichment program is here to help us all develop wisdom, to go beyond simply the technical and the immediate, to provide us all with a broader and deeper context for our work and our lives. WEP absolutely embodies the spirit of the KAUST motto, through inspiration, discovery. The winter enrichment provides inspiration to help us all discover. We're now embarking on a 2-week program of lectures, workshops, exhibitions, and myriad other activities that aim to broaden the experiences of people within this community, to complement the more technical, scientific focus of our lives, and to enrich the lives of all members of this large and diverse community here at KAUST. Now, Shakespeare's Romeo, upon first setting eyes on Juliet across a crowded room, immediately thought of enrichment. He asked his companion, "What lady is that which doth enrich the hand of yonder knight?" Now, Shakespeare was a remarkable poet, and he used perfectly the word enrich. So enrichment is the act of improving quality, of making something better, of increasing desirable attributes. Well, that's what I read in Wikipedia. It's not bad, but I'm just a simple plant scientist, all right? Someone who loves plants, tries to understand them, tries to make them grow better. So for me, enrichment means the adding of organic matter such as composted cow manure to improve soil properties, to help plants grow better. It's a simple thought for a simple plant guy, but perhaps it can also be useful as an analogy. So we have here, many of us over the past year, worked to build a winter enrichment program to help us all improve our own qualities, our soil, to help us all grow, to grow. And by this, we can produce better, more nutritious food. In other words, we can make better contributions to KAUST, to the kingdom, and to the world, as enriched people with greater wisdom and greater ability to make more significant contributions. And I think I better not make any more reference to cow manure. The next 12 days contain, for our enrichment, 115 events. 115 events we've organised, many of which have multiple sessions presented by 99 speakers, including 22 in-kingdom speakers and 47 international speakers. This year the theme is climate change and sustainability. Climate change is an empirically observed fact, and we need to understand it and develop approaches to minimise it and cope with the changes that will occur. And sustainability is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And for this, we require serious innovation. And innovation is the core business of universities and a core business of KAUST. And thus, we can make significant contributions to the areas of sustainability. So, a large proportion of the events that we've organised directly address the theme of climate change and sustainability. And many days also have their own focus. There are 2 days focused on the science of climate change. There's a day, Polar Day. We have a Future of Food Day, Future Fuels, and so on. And we have a film festival, a science fair, an alumni day. We have art exhibitions, photo exhibitions, sports, music, and myriad other activities too numerous to list. It's a marvellous program, and I'd like to thank everybody involved. WEP represents a large investment, including a large investment of finances, for their substantial help in bringing the KAUST community the 2016 program, we thank two major companies in the Kingdom, Saudi Aramco, represented today by Mr. Ricardo Theron, and SABIC, represented today by Dr. Raid Al-Sadek, who's a senior management for research support. We also have significant support from Saudi Oger, represented today by Mr. Sameh Yaman, and also from Lufthansa, and their support is most gratefully acknowledged. We are pleased and honoured to have many guests from these companies with us today. Thank you all for coming. I'd also like to thank the many people who contributed to the development of the program. Firstly, I'd like to thank the WEP team, an amazing team of dedicated staff, mostly French-speaking women, who are led selflessly by Marie-Laure Boulot. So thank you all. I'd also like to thank the numerous people who contributed to the program and putting together the program. Does this come up? I need the next slide. It isn't coming on the screen. Okay. There we go. Thank you very much. So that was the enrichment team. That should have come up. And here we go with our organising partners, so people who have put together the program, the WEP committee, the Office for the Arts, and so on. Very, very many groups on campus. And also, I'd like to thank, what is happening here? Right. And also a lot of people who do very hard work, often behind the scenes, providing all sorts of logistical support and organisational support, often unrecognised. I'd like to thank them very much right now because they really have been superb. It is with their support that we can enjoy WEP, not just work hard during WEP. Finally, I'd like to thank Jim Calvin, our Vice President for Education, and more broadly KAUST, represented by the President, in particular the President, who provides substantial support, both financial and much more, for this unusual and valuable program for our students, staff, and wider community. So thank you all as well. So please, yes. So no speech is complete, perhaps, of this sort at least, without a quotation. So I'd like to encourage you all to engage, enjoy, and go forth, perhaps with the words of Woodrow Wilson, who said, "You are not here merely to make a living. You are here in order to enable the world to live more amply, with greater vision, and with a finer spirit of hope and achievement. You are here to enrich the world, and you impoverish yourself if you forget the errand." So now I finish, and with much pleasure I want to introduce our President, who is going to introduce our featured opening keynote speaker. So it's with much pleasure I call to the podium the President of KAUST, Professor Jean-Louis Chameau.
Thank you, Mark. You know, sometimes people say that scientists or engineers are not great communicators. If you just listen to Dr. Mark Tester, you can see that there are a few exceptions. In fact, I believe there are many of them. You know, he was able to quote Shakespeare and Woodrow Wilson. So not bad for, as you say, a plant scientist, not bad at all. And I don't have any quotation for you. And on top of that, I had a long list of things to go through. The number of speakers from the kingdom, outside the kingdom, the number of programs, and on and on and on, to thank many people, our sponsors, all the people who are listed before, and I think, Mark, you have done all of that. So I'm going to just reinforce it to thank all of you, the speakers, the units which have helped planning the program and executing the program, our sponsors, to thank you, Mark, for your leadership and the hard work that you have done, and to the many people here in the web program, to the members of the community, all the volunteers, because it would not happen without you. WEP is a very special and exciting program. It brings the world to our university, and at the same time it's showcasing our great talent to the world. To me, it's a very integral part of the vision we have for KAUST to be a destination for discovery and innovation. And I believe we are well on the way to become such a place, such a destination. So whether it is your first time to the web program or the 7th time to the web program, get ready for another marvelous program full of ideas, ranging from science to culture to the arts. There is something for everyone to enjoy during the web experience. So I think you will have a great time over the next 10 or 12 days. I don't have a quotation, but I'm going to have one now before I introduce our speaker, because I also would like to bring some levity here to this group so you can smile and be ready for a great lecture. You mentioned President Woodrow Wilson. He's also known for an interesting quotation related to academia. You know, he was the president of Princeton before he became president of the US. In fact, I believe he's the only university president who became also a president of the US. And after he became president, he was asked how he was adjusting to Washington, about the politics of Washington, dealing with people in Washington. And his answer was, I forgot the exact words, "Believe me, they are amateurs compared to politics in academia." Those of you from, like my good friend David Keyes, who is smiling and understand the politics that sometimes goes on among faculty in academic circles, understand what I mean. So I didn't have a quote, but you gave me an opening for a great one. Okay, now it is time to introduce our speaker. It is really my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, a man I admire greatly, His Excellency Abdullatif Al-Othman, Governor and Chairman of the Board of Directors of SAGIA, the Saudi Arabian General Investment Authority. He was appointed the Director of SAGIA, the Chairman of SAGIA in 2012, in May 2012, after an illustrious career at Saudi Aramco. In the kingdom, I have realized that many important people and very impressive people also have an Aramco connection sometime in their lives. SAGIA's mission is to foster a pro-business environment and attract and oversee investments in the kingdom. Since his appointment, he has clearly led the organization to another level of impact, and I do expect even much more as the kingdom accelerates the transformation of its economy, as you see many new initiatives being announced and put into execution almost every day. His training began at KFUPM, a great sister university of KAUST, where he received a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. He then went on to earn his MBA from MIT, and he served as a Sloan Fellow in 1998. It has been a pleasure to work with him since I arrived at KAUST 2.5 years ago. He has been a great advisor and friend of KAUST, and assisting us especially with our growing innovation and economic development initiatives. His dedication to our university is evidenced by the investment of his personal time and energy to bring ideas to us and to help us advance KAUST's mission within the kingdom. I am personally grateful for his friendship and his guidance. Tonight is another example of the governor's personal investment in KAUST. I am confident that you will learn and be inspired by his talk. Please join me in welcoming our opening keynote speaker, His Excellency Abdullatif Othman.
Thank you very much, Professor Chamou. Faculty of KAUST, students of KAUST, participants of the Web Enrichment Program, a very warm good afternoon to you. It's a great pleasure for me to be here. Thank you, Professor Chamou, for giving me this opportunity. I have very fond memories of academic institutions, but specifically for KAUST, for many reasons, the first of which is the fact that it manifests the vision of our late king, King Abdullah, who had this inspiration and dream to establish a world-leading research institution for the betterment of Saudi Arabia and the betterment of the world. And since we are all talking about quotations, allow me to give a quote from the king in particular, where he said, "KAUST shall be a beacon for peace, hope, and reconciliation, and shall serve the people of the kingdom and the benefit of all people of the world." And those who have worked on KAUST from inception understood that very well. It is not just about Saudi Arabia, it is about the betterment of the entire world, and that's why this institution is already enriching Saudi Arabia and the world with tackling very, very important issues that we all have to deal with. It's a true conviction, it's a pride for all of us Saudis to see this institution grow and spread in its prominence as an international world-class institution. After only 7 years, KAUST's record of service to Saudi Arabia and the global community speaks for itself. Research conducted here has paved the way for the kingdom to become a regional hub for innovation, thought leadership, and new industries. And likewise, it is helping us address the challenges that the world and Saudi Arabia will face in the years ahead. And your choice of climate change is an important issue that the world have to deal with, and have to deal with very, very seriously. No one, regardless of nationality, religion, or socioeconomic status, will be immune from its consequences. The GCC in particular is very vulnerable when it comes to climate change. Inaction to combat global warming is directly intertwined with whether we can preserve a way of life in the place we've called home for hundreds of years. If current trends continue, scientists predict the region will be too hot to sustain human life by year 2100. Many of our cities in Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, Khobar, Dammam included, will be exposed to rising sea levels should global warming be left unchecked. Ultimately, millions could be displaced, while many of our most treasured religious and historic sites will become virtually inaccessible. The need to act now has never been more urgent than it is today. For the sake of our way of life and for the sake of our children, we can no longer wait. Fortunately, waiting for the worst is something that Saudi Arabia is no longer willing to do. Just a few months ago, as a matter of fact, last month, delegates from nearly 200 countries gathered in Paris to recommit themselves to combating climate change collectively by limiting global warming to 2 degrees centigrade between now and 2100. Within these efforts, Saudi Arabia stood side by side with the nations of the world, ready to do its part. Although we currently ranked 14th among the world's carbon emitters, we've pledged to reduce our carbon footprint by 130 million tons of CO2 annually by 2030, keeping in mind that Saudi Arabia exports 70% of its oil production. So some of the CO2 that we emit is actually for the ultimate use by others around the world. But despite that fact, we are also committed to take serious actions on this regards. To some, it may not be immediately clear how one of the world's top oil producers will manage to lower its emissions, particularly when purchasing conventional energy is so cost-effective and competitive compared to other options. No doubt our success will come on the back of our ability to improve energy efficiency, optimize our energy mix, and reduce domestic petrol consumption. And we've already seen some signs of the government commitment and recent announcements about liberalization of fuel and feedstock prices. But we have reached a stage where our carbon reduction targets and our national economic objectives are no longer mutually exclusive. Developing renewable energy industries and efficient technologies to help create more sustainable existing industries will of course play a key role in helping Saudi Arabia fulfill its environmental challenge. It will also make these industries be part of a kingdom's next economic success story as we diversify our portfolio away from oil to create a more dynamic and more adaptable economy. We plan to invest and implement ambitious programs to rapidly increase the contribution of solar photovoltaic, solar thermal, nuclear, wind, natural gas, and geothermal to that they contribute to our national domestic energy mix. We will establish a global leadership in developing carbon capture and utilization infrastructure. As part of our sustainability program, we're planning to build the world's largest carbon capture plant to purify 1,500 tons of CO2 per day for use in petrochemical plants across the country. And we will deploy new technologies to ensure our cities, infrastructure, and industries meet international air, water, and noise sustainability levels. Many of these projects will require investments worth billions of dollars. For example, in the solar energy field alone, we have identified $19 billion of investment opportunities. The money, however, isn't the only important thing. We need to draw upon the expertise and industries of those who can help us make our dream a reality. Not necessarily from those who will leave the country once these projects are built and started up, but from those who will stay and have a lasting impact in the kingdom. Recently, we've launched the National Investment Plan, or the NIP, where we have been working with many of the government sectors to help transform their sectors to be economically vibrant sectors that contribute to the GDP of the economy. As you can imagine, Saudi Arabia is a developing country, and there is a lot of significant spending that is taking place on many of the services that we have: healthcare, transport, telecommunication, ICT, education. And the concept is that while we're growing these sectors, how can we help create industries and attract investments across the value chain of these sectors and transform them from being a cost center to the government to spend into an economically generating sectors while we're growing these sectors. And we've worked with the healthcare sector, we worked with the transportation, and we're now working with many of the industry leaders that are partners with KAUST on helping localize many of their industries. We have put this all in an application that you can download. It's called Invest Saudi. It has investment opportunities of more than 400 billion worth of opportunities in more than 13 sectors that we are working on, which is making this National Investment Plan a very critical and cornerstone of the National Transformation Plan that will be announced very soon. There is a question worth asking, though. Do we have to look abroad for all the expertise and the technology? Or can we find some of it right here at home? If you allow me, I would share with you more of King Abdullah's words with you. He said, KAUST should demonstrate by precept and example the value of responsible environmental stewardship. In many ways, from the design, construction, and operation of the university to the research that is being conducted here, KAUST has exhibited this leadership in environmental sustainability since its groundbreaking ceremony in 2007. But this leadership can be taken to the next level as the Kingdom continues to push its diversification agenda. The Kingdom's submission to the COP21 Paris Climate Change Summit states that to stimulate sustainability and diversification, Saudi Arabia aims to create long-term partnership with universities, research institutions, and the private sector in order to enable the utilization of green technologies. KAUST is uniquely placed to become such a partner. Many research-driven academic institutions around the world aspire to be the source of an innovation idea turned into a commercial success. Unfortunately, many often fall short in providing students and faculty the support needed to make this a reality. KAUST, however, doesn't just talk the talk. KAUST actually walks the walk. Many of you here will know the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. This community truly embodies that idea. It understands what is needed to take an idea with commercial promise from conception to maturity. I imagine many of you in this room are familiar with exactly how KAUST mixes scientific discovery with business acumen and support. From the Lean Startup Bootcamp course offered at this event to the New Venture School, everywhere you go, you will find committed individuals and teams here willing to give you a boost to get your idea up and running. Most recently, KAUST set up a new venture capital fund to support investment into homegrown high-tech startups in partnership with Islamic Corporation for the development of the private sector. I really would like to congratulate KAUST and President Shamu on this fantastic initiative. In the years ahead, I look forward to hearing of the program's many success stories. The cooperation of these two organizations, KAUST and the Islamic Cooperation for Development of the Private Sector, shows, however, that there is a much larger village outside this campus that wants new business from KAUST to succeed in becoming leaders in environmental sustainability. In our case, our village is the entire Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and even the entire globe. The custodian of the two holy mosques, His Majesty King Salman, recognizes the important role science, innovation, and institutions like KAUST will play in the future of this country. Scientific research and R&D fuels the creation of new technologies and services, in turn, enhance the competitiveness of national economies. Consequently, resources, focus, and society are shifting to meet national objectives under His Majesty's direction. You already know there are billions of dollars worth of investment opportunities available, particularly in alternative and sustainability sectors, and preferential procurement for goods made in Saudi Arabia. But we're also providing comprehensive support to small businesses to grow, thrive, and contribute in an increasingly dynamic economy as we push to be regional leader in environmental sustainability. First, we want to make establishing a business in the kingdom seamless. To accomplish this, at SAGIA, we have simplified a process to get an investment license, and nearly all of our applications can be done online. And where previously 12 documents were needed for a license, we now only require 3. This has been done alongside a significant improvement in the time it takes to receive a license. All applications, from reception to final decision, now have a turnaround time of less than 5 working days. Our website, you can find average processing time on the lower left-hand side, and it will show you our 30-day rolling average, and we have been averaging less than 5 days. As a matter of fact, sometimes 1 day for all transactions. I am particularly excited about the work that we're doing with KAUST to help its faculty and its students establish companies to commercialize their innovation. The work that we're doing is unique because you are unique. You have people that come in here for a certain purpose and will engage in a different purpose. This is testing many of the government laws, whether it is on investment law or in commercial law or even immigration law. And we have been making significant progress, and thanks to KAUST for bringing this issue to us and pushing that we address this important issue. And I'm pleased to say that we have made significant progress, and we're very optimistic. I think in less than a month's time, we will be able to formalize, implement this process. I know we have managed some of the transactions that you have, but I believe that in a month's time, we will be able to have this fully official, institutional, not based on a phone call or a personal, but really becomes a way that we will do that. And I am sure this will reflect on expanding this special arrangement to many similar innovation hubs that are of equal importance and interest in doing that around the kingdom. So we're very, very proud of the partnership with KAUST in addressing this challenge. But trust me, at the end, it will be something that will be for the benefit of the kingdom and many institutions like yourselves. We also want to help us by providing SMEs with access to funding through loan, grant, and equity investment schemes. The recently announced Agency for Small and Medium Enterprises is a promising organization, and we will work very closely with them as they chart out their mission and their initiatives and priorities. Soon we will hear from them about new venture capital fund launched by the government to enable and support startups. And as many of you know, there are existing organizations that have and will continue to work closely with SMEs and help them grow. The Saudi Industrial Development Fund, for example, grants medium and long-term loans for the private sector projects, as well as administrative, financial, technical, and marketing consultancy services to help develop startups in the kingdom. Just 2 years ago, the fund, the Saudi Industrial Development Fund, awarded nearly 6,700 loans worth of approximately $30 billion. Of course, rapid licensing process, seed funding, new investments are important to the strength of a new business. After all, the more we can help get off the ground, the better we are. But there is another opportunity through individual success to build a tight networking of people, ideas, and organizations to encourage the next level of technological innovation and promote greater environmental sustainability in Saudi Arabia. Therefore, as a third step, we've created tech clusters and pockets of excellence to enable knowledge sharing among like-minded individuals. The King Abdulaziz City for Science and Technology is working closely with the government, universities, and private sectors to create incubators and technology innovation centers across the country, and I am sure they're also partnering with you. Many of these incubators and centers will be similar to KAUST, as they will mix research capability with a commercial focus that will, of course, support individual businesses. Unlike KAUST, we anticipate they will become communities within themselves where knowledge is shared and built upon. But after all I have said today, I want to return to the most important piece of the puzzle. Ultimately, it is where Saudi Arabia new direction will be sustained. Very simply, it is you. Communities, whether it is a university, a village, or a nation, are only as strong as those individuals that make up that community. And while the leadership of the custodian of the two holy mosques has set us on the path towards greater environmental sustainability, it is up to each of us to be stewards of this mission, and in both in our personal or professional lives. Of course, many of you understand how you can make your own impact, whether it is at home or elsewhere in your daily lives. But I want to leave you with another thought to consider today. Your talents, expertise, and resources have created a responsibility and an opportunity for you to assume the mantle of leadership in this national and now global effort. To combat climate change, of course, there is the need for everyone to join the ranks of the global community in this fight. But those who can do more must do more. Those who can innovate to reverse the negative effects of climate change must innovate. And those with greater ability to provide a better future for our children must do everything they can do to create that future. Some here may have already done that. I am proud to think of dozens of research projects from these institutions that have moved on to become businesses that are truly making the difference in the lives of many people every day. However, in the next 10 years, I believe there is an opportunity to double or even triple the number of KAUST success stories. Saudi Arabia believes in your potential, and we will seek out how we can work with you and support you to help you fulfill it. But ultimately, it's up to you as an institution to really ask yourself, are we enriching Saudi Arabia and the world? Are we making the difference? This is your scorecard, and I look forward to work with you. Thank you very much. Sure.
I think we have time for a few questions. If you have any questions in the audience.
Thank you. My question is regarding Aramco, about the news that they may go IPO and SAGIA's involvement in that. Thank you.
Well, you've heard the news, and Aramco made a press release that is very clear. They've indicated that they are studying the potential of IPO. and that it will go through the normal due process of being presented to their board and then to the Supreme Council. And they've indicated also that they are looking at putting certain downstream assets in that and IPO it. We as SAGIA are not directly involved in the process.
Oh, you said that the kingdom is combating climate change. So do you think that by combating climate change, we are combating our economy, since the economy of Saudi Arabia is based on exporting oil?
Well, oil is a primary source of income, and we have to leverage it to help us grow other economic sectors. This is the challenge that we have, and this is the blessing we have at the same time. So there is nothing wrong of being reliant on oil while you are also growing your economy and growing in new sectors. The challenge is striking the balance. Combating climate change is something that we all have to do. It is a challenge, but it is also, we have to recognize that oil will continue to have two important industries that will continue to be heavily dependent on. One is the transportation, and for many years, and we welcome innovation and we welcome creative solutions, but it will continue to be a challenge to find such cost-effective, safe, easy to handle source for transportation for many years to come. So while you're addressing the environment, there will continue to be a use for oil in the transportation. The second sector, which is still have not been fully utilized, is in the downstream conversion in the petrochemical sector. And many of the components that we have in this nice auditorium came from petroleum. So you can do that while being environmentally responsible. It's a burden, but it's a responsibility that we all have to do.
One more in the back there, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Saad Abdullatif, for the inspiration speech. My question is about the portion when you talked about renewables. Now, being a fast-paced technology with a lot of cost reduction, it presents itself as a great opportunity for localization and job creation within the kingdom. Yet, Saudi Arabia have announced so many renewable targets since 2010 or 2011, yet we don't have a single utility-scale project on the ground. And that happened during the days when the oil was $130 and above. So the question is now, how can we provide some policy certainty to investors to come to Saudi and build renewable energy manufacturing? How can they take us seriously to actually come and invest in the kingdom when it comes to renewable energy? Are we announcing where the money is coming from? Do we need who will fund? Who has the mandate to deploy renewables? Is it going to be KCare? Is it going to be another entity? Is SAGIA involved? That's what I wanted to ask about.
Okay. First, directionally, we have no choice but to optimize the energy mix. You cannot have 90% of your sources of energy is from oil and gas. So directionally, we have to have renewable and we have to have nuclear to optimize it, just from pure economic standpoint. The challenge that people who planned many of these projects at the beginning were faced with is, what value would you assign to a barrel of oil that you save by bringing in renewable or nuclear energy? And that is probably one of the most difficult ones that caused this misalignment between certain institutions and the other. Now, with the presence of the Council of Economic and Development Affairs and being a very proactive and decisive institution, I have no doubt that such very fundamental issues about prioritizing the energy mix and the valuation of it will come to a resolution. So directionally, Saudi Arabia made the decision, and if you think about it, and this is not the place where we get into economics, but if you assign a dollar value for every barrel you save in our economy, the international price, it will make you arrive into very unrealistic conclusions, including importing oil from coal from Australia and building it in Saudi Arabia. And if you say no, it costs only the cost of production, that's also not realistic because it will kill all the other options for you. And the challenge is to come up with an optimum pricing that takes into consideration the long-term intrinsic value, what would be the future price of oil. But I don't want to complicate the discussion, but it is striking that number. From my personal opinion, they could have at least launched 2 or 3 projects while the intellectual argument continues to go on, and we would have gained probably better milestones. But, you know, being late better than never, as they say.
Thank you very much again for a great lecture. Those are very important issues to the world, and I think we should be grateful and excited to be part here of activities that are receiving the attention of the leadership of the country and your leadership. And those problems obviously are not simple to solve, and it's very complex to find an optimum. You mentioned the vision of the king and the vision of being a beacon of hope for the kingdom and the world, and the beacon has become emblematic to KAUST. So as a small token of appreciation, here is the KAUST beacon. I hope it is inside. Yes, it is inside.
Very nice. Thank you very much. And to Mark, I also speak French. Merci beaucoup.
Okay. Thank you. This brings us almost to the end of the proceedings, certainly the more formal proceedings. I'd like to call to the stage some people for photographs. And while that is happening, Marie-Laure, could you please organize this? Could you round up people to come on stage for photographs? Thank you. And while that is happening, I'd just like to introduce the art exhibition, which is outside. I'd encourage you all to go to the cocktail reception, which is immediately outside in the foyer. KAUST's Social Responsibility Department, which is a part of Saudi Initiatives, and that's under the umbrella of Dr. Najjar Ashri. They have organized the 3rd annual Celebrate Saudi Arabia Art Exhibition, and this is an ideal way to honor and recognize the rich history and culture of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I'd go round. Art is a powerful vehicle for communication. It's a way to express visions that are beyond the capacity of words. You will notice the artist's works document not only the life and surroundings of the kingdom, but also communicate to love and interest for Saudi Arabia and its people. Artwork will be evaluated by an expert panel of community volunteer judges, each of whom has a strong background in the arts. And accepted pieces will be exhibited and reproduced, printed in various ways, with proceeds benefiting social responsibility projects in Suwal. So please do not miss visiting the exhibition in the lobby. Starting from today, it goes until January the 18th, and you may also vote for popular vote artwork. And winners will be announced at the gala at the end of WEP on Thursday the 21st of January. So thank you all. Thank you, Your Excellency, for a superb presentation. Thank you, Mr. President. So thank you all for coming, and enjoy WEP.